This'll do. Hello. I asked to go last because I thought, there'll be all these really talented cartoonists, and there were, talking about these really interesting stories. And my story is not how talented I am. It's a story about how I got stuck in a hole. It was a big hole. I was walking my dog. His name's Chomsky. He's about this much dog, 60 pounds. And we walked by this skate park. And if you don't know much about skateboarding, it's a lot of fun. You should try it. But in the 50s in California, there was a drought, and all these skateboarders wanting to be cool and do their cool skateboarding realized that if you went into these drained out pools, you could skate around and do these cool tricks. And so skate parks have what are effectively fake pools. They're a specialized hole that is like a pool but has rounded edges. So if you're good at skateboarding, you can skate right up the wall, do a trick, land it, go right back down again. It's great. I've never done it, but it looks really cool and really fun. So me and Chomsky had walked by this skate park a lot of time. There's always skateboarders there. But this particular day, it was raining. And I had my umbrella and I had my dog. And as we walked by, I saw there was no one anywhere, because no one wants to go out in the rain except for a guy with his dog. And I thought, this is a great chance to take a cool picture of my dog in this skate bowl, because graffiti artists also do a lot of graffiti in skate bowls. If you want to do graffiti, it's a cool crime, but you don't want to get caught. So these holes are ideal because no one can see you while you're writing your name on someone else's wall. So I thought this would be great. I hop in with my dog, and I take the picture. It's a terrific shot. And I'm like, now it's time to leave this skate bowl, this hole that I'm in. And at the deepest, it was twice my height. And I wasn't going to get out there, obviously. But at the shallowest, it was only about my height. What I didn't realize was that these holes are super smooth because you want skateboard wheels to go on them. And rain made them super slick. So I went to the edge and just slipped back down again. In fact, the first time I slipped, I was so surprised. I slipped down to the shallow part and into the deep part, and right at the deepest part of this hole. And my first thought was, that was a funny thing that happened, but I'm clearly not stuck in this hole. So I made a few more runs at it, and I discovered that if I ran, I could get to the edge and pull myself up with both arms, and I would escape this hole, except that left my dog in this bowl. And Chomsky's a good dog, but when we first got him, we were his third home. We've been abandoned at least twice before. And he's really cute. He has a thing called separation anxiety, where he used to have a lot of trouble being alone. I used to have to give him a bone just to have a shower for 2 minutes, otherwise he'd be freaking out. And so the first month and a half we had him, I never left the house without him because he was so afraid of being alone. And we worked in it, and he's home alone right now. He's having a great time. But I didn't want to leave him in a hole, because that's not good for the dog. So I hopped back in, and I was like, well, Chomsky, what do we do? And what I did was I posted on Twitter. I posted the picture, the picture I took with the caption, if you had gone into a hole to take this picture and you couldn't get out, what would you do, hypothetically speaking? And one of the first responses I got was someone saying, well, what's in your inventory? Like, this is a game. What do you have in your inventory? And I was so on board. So I took a picture. I said, I have an umbrella. I have a dog. I have a leash. I have the clothes I'm wearing. And I have my phone. What do I do? And I got tons of suggestions right away. A lot of them were not that useful, but someone said, why don't you just plug the drain at the bottom and wait for it to fill with water? I was like, it might take a while. Someone else said, well, when you die, your skeleton can be used to make a ladder for the next person. I was like, that's fair, that's true. I'm down with it. People suggested running back and forth to gain up speed like a skateboarder, but I couldn't do that and still hold on to Chomsky. That took at least one arm, and I'm not ripped enough to pull myself out of a hole with one arm, it turns out. People suggested putting Chomsky on my shoulders like in the army, and sent me a picture of a guy in the army doing that. But he was using one arm. I couldn't do it with no arms. And as I was getting stuck and continuing to be stuck, and so this is like 40 minutes I've been in this hole at this point, my favorite tweet was someone saying, "Where were you when Ryan was slowly dying in a hole?" Which I retweeted with the comment, "in a hole." And then this woman, Nicole, posted, "Hey, you have the umbrella, you have the leash, use those together." And I thought, oh my God, if I use the umbrella on the leash, then I can hook the hook of the umbrella through the leash, which doubles its length. With it twice as long, I can get out of the hole while still holding onto Chomsky just by his leash. And then I get on my belly, I unhook the umbrella, and since Chomsky wears a harness, not a collar, I could pull him up by his harness using the umbrella to support his rear end. And just like that, I'm out of the hole. It was amazing. I took a picture of me out of the hole saying, "I defy all holes. No hole can defeat me. My one weakness of holes has been vanquished." And walking home, people are saying, it's great that you did this by combining inventory items, because in old adventure games, what you do is you'd solve puzzles by sequencing your inventory and trying these ridiculous solutions until use umbrella on leash works. And you escape. So it was a fun story. I get home thinking, that was a fun way to spend my lunch hour. I'm bruised from falling a bunch, trying to get out, but it was fine. I turn on my computer, and The Guardian, which is the paper of note in the UK, has this story. The headline, "Canadian cartoonist gets stuck in a hole, is saved by Twitter," which is a really appealing phrase. Like, I would click on that. The catch was the picture they used, I guess from some stock footage, was not the imposing, twice my height hole I was stuck in. It was a really shallow, splash zone in Syria and Toronto. So all these hole experts come out in the comments. They're like, "I could have got out of that hole." But that more and more news stories picked it up. I was on CBC talking about. I brought the reporter to the hole. I'm like, "There's the hole." There it is. And there was a sign there that had since been stolen, and I get why it was stolen, because it was an amazing sign. But the sign said, "Don't go in this, warning, this is a deep skate bowl. Don't go in unless you're confident you can get out." And it was a horrible sign, because I had nothing but confidence. I was ready to get in that hole. But the nice part of the story is that the woman who gave me the winning suggestion, Nicole, the winning, was a contest. The suggestion that actually worked. Nicole, she lived in Toronto. We have mutual friends. We spent a weekend together playing board games. It was terrific. So I made a new friend by escaping this hole, which is really nice. And we talk about Twitter being, a waste of time, or it's where you post pictures of your sandwiches and stuff. But it legitimately got me out of a hole. And Facebook has never done that. And the last sort of coda to the story is, a few months later, I was reading Twitter, and I get whole news sent to me now by my readers, my people who help me out. And there was this kid in Poland who got stuck in a hole in very similar situations, except he didn't have a dog, and he didn't have his phone with him. Or he did have his phone, he didn't use Twitter. And so what he did to make his situation worse was he first took off his shoes. So now he's in his socks in a wet hole, and tried to run out thinking his socks would get traction or something, but it just made the situation worse, which I understand, because one of the suggestions I got was, you can use your shirt to make a sling. And within a link to instructions on how to do this. And I followed that link and I tried it. It made a horrible tiny sling that would not support Chomsky, would support maybe a Pomeranian, the tiniest dog. So at that I posted, now I'm topless and stuck in a hole. Please advise. But this kid took off his shoes and he was stuck, and he called the fire department to help get him out, which I considered, but it was my last-ditch option, because A, how embarrassing it is to call the fire department, and B, how would that conversation go? I'd be like, "Hey guys, it's me again, if you could swing by the hole, help me out." So he didn't use Twitter. He called the fire department. And there's this amazing picture of him in this skate bowl, and then all these firemen in full fireman garb standing at the border, looking down, being like, "What do we do here?" But the thing I realized from all of this is that, just as sort of a larger theme, is that anyone can get stuck in a hole, full stop. But anyone gets a free pass on getting stuck in a hole once. Once you're stuck in the hole once, people help you out. It's a funny story. But I can't ever, and for the rest of my life, get stuck in another hole, because the narrative changes from, it could happen to anyone, to Ryan. pull up your socks. What are you doing here getting stuck in holes over and over again? So I have a course set for the rest of my life where I have to be very careful about getting into empty pools to take pictures of my dog. So yeah, use me as a warning, there but for the grace of God, and be careful about what holes you hop into. Thank you very much.